All right, everyone. I think we can go ahead and get started. Hello and welcome to the Women in Tech webinar by Rulesware. My name is Angie Castro and I am the communications coordinator here at Rulesware. Also, I will be your lovely host for the event of today. We have a lot of our employees have joined, but we also have some external audiences. We have people from outside of Rulesware who have joined us, and we are very thankful that you're giving us your time today on a Friday. So for our external audience, a little bit about Rulesware and who we are. Uh, Rulesware is a business transformation consultancy with offices in the US and El Salvador, where I'm at, and also in Mexico. And we have more than 15 years of experience implementing Pega solutions and pretty much doing things right the first time. So a big part of this success is our culture, and our culture is one that is courageous and responsible and pushes us to use our voice to talk about topics like gender equality, especially during this month of March, which we celebrate Women's History Month. We shine the spotlight on female empowerment, and that's part of the reason why we're doing this webinar today. It's we want to focus on 5 women at Rulesware who have shaped an outstanding career in the tech industry, and it's been fueled by passion, drive, and just wanting to do what they like. And we're really excited. We're here to see that. Um, so during the next hour, how this is going to work is we will engage in conversation with our panelists and learn from their career and their experiences, followed by a Q&A in which I encourage every one of you to use the Q&A section in the bottom of the Zoom call. You can drop your questions at any point during the call, and we will address them at the end during the Q&A section. So without further ado, let's see who our speakers or panelists for the day are. We have Sidra Hussein from the US division. She's the delivery manager. We also have today Dalia Portillo of development practice lead from Latin America. We are joined also by Felicia Washington, a senior consultant from the US division as well. Edith Saldana from our Mexico office, an engineer, and Isabel Lima from our people and culture business partner for Latin America as well. So that's a very brief introduction who our panelists are. Now let's jump right ahead into it and learn a little bit more about them. We're going to start with Felicia from our US office, and she has an academic background in biology and technical writing. Her career in the tech industry started as a technical writer, actually, and she started off writing manuals. But when given the opportunity to join a project team, she learned the SDLC. Not a technical person here, but I had to Google that one, which is software development lifecycle. Probably you all knew that. And other methodologies, right? So soon Felicia started a career in business analysis, testing, and project management, which led to a career of about 20 years now, right, Felicia? So Felicia, you are muted. If you could just tell us, the first question that I have for you is, that's a very impressive background, and I wish one day someone introduces me like that. Can you tell us about that journey that you follow? Because when we ask you offline is what are what's your biggest achievement, you answer with promoting myself. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so when I was first asked the question, actually, I was like thinking of a project, but I was like, no, it's not about the project. I was making the transition from tech writer to BA. I actually had a role where I was serving both roles. And I had both roles, both titles, was doing the work, but I felt like it was time to move past the technical writing. I got bored. Had achieved all I could achieve with it and wanted to move into the full-time BA role. Unfortunately, I was at a company that I was contracting, and they did not want to promote me, which was fine. So I began to apply to full-time roles outside of that company. And one of the first companies I interviewed with actually tried to persuade me to stick with tech writing, and I was determined to move on. Otherwise, I felt like I'd be stuck in that role. And so what I then did was I turned the offer down, kept applying, but probably about a month later, they actually called and offered me the BA role, and that's how I got into full-time BA work. So, and I do still use my tech writing skills, but I do not, that is not my primary role anymore. So
yeah,
I would encourage everyone, when you're ready and your skill set is on par, promote yourself if your boss doesn't.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I
I
mean,
didn't mean to
that's a
put it
great
that way. I'm
example.
sorry. But yes, you get what I'm saying. Sorry.
No, yeah, I guess that's a great example of like if you want something and you know you're prepared for it, you've worked hard for it, just
Mm-hmm.
do it. Like push until you get
Yes.
that promotion that you want, right?
Absolutely.
That's great advice and a good introduction as well. Now the next person that we want to talk to today, and that I'll introduce to y'all, it's someone who's done something very similar. And I'm talking about Dalia Portillo from our El Salvador office. Um, her enthusiasm for a career in technology started with the encouragement of her father, who used to explain to her how technology was changing the world, but also, most importantly, how there was still room for improvement, room to explore, and room to do more things, right? Um, we asked her what was her biggest achievement, and she shared that she, after 7 years of experience in this field, and those 7 years being at Rulesware as well, and like doing different things from what I understand, and like promoting yourself as well, like going to the moment that now you're a development practice lead for Latin America. The biggest achievement that Dalia shared with us is working on projects that have allowed her to make improvements in other people's lives by enabling them to acquire and use health and insurance services more efficiently. Now, an avid, also balletist and contemporary dancer, today we welcome Dalia with us. Hi, Dalia, how are you doing?
Hi, Andy. Thank you. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. A bit nervous. I don't know if you all can tell I'm talking
Me
really
too.
fast, but I'm doing very well. Happy to be talking with you all today. And actually, we've been talking for a minute now, Dalia. I was talking to you a couple of weeks ago for that video that we did for Rulesware to celebrate International Women's Day. And you
Yeah.
shared with me some statistics that made me really turn to like, okay, this is very interesting. And the statistics for everyone who's listening that Dalia shared with me is that in the development practice, in the Latin development practice, Rulesware 66% of the PLs are women. Plus, the lead of that practice is also a woman, Molly. And I was like, whoa, that's very impressive. Let's compare it to the industry in general. And the statistics that the general says is that women are still a bit underrepresented in the software engineering workforce, which only is 14% women. And in the computer science related job, it's only 25% women. That now 14 and 25 compared to 66%, it's a huge difference. And you being 7 years in this company and seeing how everything has grown to what it is now, what do you think, how do you think we came to be that way at Rulesware? And what do you think the impact that it has in our company is?
So first of all, I think for everyone who don't know what a practice lead is we're, like the word says, we're leading and managing operations and different processes and activities within the company areas or departments, you want to call it that way. So within the LATAM practice lead, we actually have 2 men and 4 women, plus our director of practices, which is also a woman. And we all work really well together. Everyone brings their unique skill sets to the mix, and that's key to our work. So how does these numbers came to be? I think it's because of 2 things. The first, because definitely our company culture and values. Rulesware is a company where your skills and your work are what speaks for you, regardless of your gender, your race, your religion. All those things are not elements that are gonna play against you. And actually, all you have to do is always try your best, right, to make sure you have the skills you need, because we try our best to have the right people with the right skills in the right role. And the other thing is that we have the privilege of having all these great women in our company who are well prepared and have demonstrated through their work, their professional ethics, and their courage, definitely, that they are the key people we need in these positions. So I think this opens the opportunity for everyone who works for it, who prepares and develops the right skills they need, who are committed and have the courage to bring their ideas to the table, to take on more challenges and responsibilities, because these leadership positions are huge responsibility. And I believe that having all these prepared and skilled women in those key leadership positions serves as a motivation and encouragement for the newcomers, the women we recently hired, to demonstrate that they can go for more, that they can pursue these management roles, and that the only thing they should focus on is on developing their skills, building their expertise, focusing on their preparation, and they don't need to prove themselves beyond that just because they're women, right? I think that makes Rulesware a place of empowerment for women to achieve their professional goals, and also for everyone, not just for women, for all of our employees. That's what I think.
Yeah, definitely. And at the end of the day, that's what we should strive for, just equal opportunities for all. And I think that's something that our people and culture team has done a good job at promoting, and our leaders in general. And huge example of that is our PL or practice leads, right? Now, speaking of people and culture, the next person that I want to introduce to the public today is Isabel Lima, our HR business partner for Latin America. She was impressively the very first employee in our El Salvador office. You could say, is the one who started it all here. Wearing so many different hats in the process of establishing a solid foundation for what started with 5 employees and is now over 100 employees in El Salvador. She's also been with us for 9 years now, and in those 9 years, she's also seen the Mexico office grow from a small team to now it's more than 50 people. Welcome, Isa. We're so happy to have you here.
Hi, thank you, Angie.
So, speaking about that experience of being the very first Rulesware employee in El Salvador, you're literally part of Rulesware history. I hope you know that. Can you tell us a little bit about that time and what different roles you had to play to establish that foundation? And also, how did that transform or made you the professional that you are today?
So as you mentioned, yeah, I started 9 years ago. I was hired to open operations in El Salvador. We actually started with 5. And since the beginning, it was doing everything, like hiring, contracting, doing all legal stuff, doing operations, and as well moving and guiding the people in the new chapter. In this case, it was Pega, that it was a new thing in El Salvador. So it was actually selling the company, selling what the guys are going to be doing once they join the company. So it was very interesting. It was very challenging to me as well, because I did not have the experience that I actually have now. So for me, it was learning from different things, different people, asking for the right support, and the guidance that was provided by people that was part of the company at that time. It was really great. I feel like the support they gave me at that time has made me learn a lot of things. And the guidance provided was actually really good. It was the guidance for some women that we still have in the company. So I had learned a lot. And I'm very happy that it started with 5, and now we can see an office that's of 100 plus employees. And as well, it's the same in Mexico, that we started with a small team, and now we can see that it's actually evolving and changing, and the team is growing, the people it's growing as well. We are providing all the support or all the guidance and empower women, as Dalia said, to have those roles that are so important for us in the company.
Definitely, that's a 9-year career, very impressive. And growing a company from 5 to over 100, that's just really cool. And it comes to show the quality of professional that you are. We're really happy to have you at Rulesware. And with that, I want to open the door for someone. We're talking about our Mexico office. I want to open the door to someone from our Mexico office, and we're talking about Edith Saldana. She started her passion for technology from an early age. She shared with us that she was quite a curious kid, always trying to understand how things work and why, and like putting them together and assembling back again, which helped that her dad had a company factory in which she was always around tools, she was always around machines, and had the ability to just like get that curiosity going and rolling. So she has some experience with the biomedical engineer world, also web development and software development, right, Edith?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, welcome, Edith. We're really happy to have you here.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here as well.
Edith, a question that I have for you, and a lot of people talked to me about you. I didn't know Edith before this webinar, but a lot of people pointed, when I asked like inspirational women, a lot of people pointed fingers at you. I hope you know you're very much appreciated. And a question that I have for you is, what advice would you give to young women who want to pursue a career in technology or otherwise?
Well, that's a lot of pressure. You're saying that. I've been thinking on this question quite a lot, to be honest. I think the best advice I can give to women, and pretty much every person, right? It doesn't have to be only women. Young people that try to start a career on technology is to study hard, prepare, work hard, and be ready for pretty much everything that can come in the future. And you can also make sure that when you get to the opportunity to start somewhere, to have an interview, a job or something, you will be the best person for that job, right? There's not going to be anybody better than you for that job, because you have prepared hard enough and work already a lot of hours, do not sleep a lot of time, but you know at that time, in that moment, that you are the best person for that job. So as Dalia was saying before, I think that you need to let your work and your actions to speak for you everywhere you go. It doesn't have to be in the workplace, it has to be everywhere, right? And I think that if something interesting you, when you're a kid, when you're young, when you're any age, then it fits you, right? Be curious, read everything, practice everything, fail and try again. And if you want to learn something, just go for it. If you're not good at it at that moment, you will be eventually, if you do the work and if you practice and you fail and keep failing, right? Be proud to be a nerdy person. Be proud to know more than a lot of people around you, but never settle with what you know right now, because there's a lot of things to learn out there and to know. So always strive for more, right? And wherever you do, just do the work, walk every mile. Do not try to skip steps, because steps are there for a reason, right? They are important. And I truly believe that success it's pretty much earned, not given. So you have to work for it. And just remember this actually is something that a friend told me that remember that you are everything, you're brilliant, and you're enough for any job, any position, anything, right? So keep remembering that, because that will take you to the next level. And maybe to finish that question, there's also a phrase out there that it's actually in one of my walls that says that today give everything, but tomorrow give more. So keep working and keep doing the job.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's amazing inspiration. And at the end of the day, it kind of circles back to Felicia, just saying, be ready. When the opportunity presents itself, you want to be the most prepared one in the room, right?
Exactly.
So it's work hard, be the most prepared person in that room, and whenever opportunities come, just grab them.
And if they don't give you the opportunity, then you take it by patient.
Right. Now, the last person, but not least, that I want to introduce to our public today is Sidra Hussein from our US division. Sidra loves nature, hiking. Actually, right before this call, we were all talking about hiking and like going outside. And she just likes being outdoors. She also brings 10 years of experience to the table. And how this all started is in high school, whenever she became very interested in physics and math. So engineering was just a natural career choice for her. And with 10 years of experience, Sidra, which by the way, congrats, that's amazing. How do you feel like you can, in a management position, how have you found it best to promote women empowerment at the workplace?
I think, well, thanks, Angie. Thanks for the introduction. And I'm very happy to be on and talking with everybody.
I don't know if we can you get closer to the mic? We are having some issues here.
Okay.
Perfect.
Can you guys hear me now?
That's perfect. Yes, thank you.
Okay. So I think we talking about empowering women and nurturing women in the workplace. I think a lot of it in my position as a manager is some of the more normal things, right? You talk to all the team members, you identify this.
Sorry, Sidra, we're having a little bit of trouble hearing you. It seems like it's cutting out a little bit.
Okay. Hold on a
Yeah.
second. Let me switch.
Sure.
That's okay. Perfect. Now we're
Tried
both
testing.
matching.
Yeah, both blessing. So Angie, yeah, your question about as a manager, how do I nurture women in the workplace? I follow some of the normal processes that I'm pretty sure most managers do, right? I talk to them, I identify their strengths, their goals. I provide feedback based on my experience and my journey on what's worked for me and what's not worked for me. I help them plan and identify steps how they can make their goals come true. What are the steps they can do to move forward? And the last thing you always want to do is you always want to report up, right? You want to make the leadership aware that I have a candidate who has these strengths, who has the motives, the right motives to move forward, and this is what they need. What is different with I think women and men that I've noticed in my experience is because of the societal norms that we have, right? Society treats women and men a little differently. It's changing over the years, but just based on my personal experience, right? 5 years ago, when I went out and bought clothes for my daughter, it was only rainbows and unicorns, right? Today, when I buy clothes for her, I can see the solar system, I can see the periodic table. So things are changing, they're moving in the right direction. But I feel especially like for women to empower them, it's very important to reiterate their strengths. So I make sure I let everybody know that this is their strengths, keep talking about their strengths, how to improve their strengths, and reconfirm their belief in their abilities. I think that is really important because for any opportunity to present itself and for you to be able to grab it, you need to be very sure of yourselves. So just reiterating their strengths and reconfirming their beliefs, I think goes a long way in empowering women in the workplace.
Definitely. And you're right, times are changing. We were talking recently on a roundtable discussion about how some of us growing up really didn't see any women in STEM, like we just weren't exposed to that. So we thought it wasn't an option. But nowadays you see all these amazing women doing amazing things and just doing what they want to do and following their passion and dreams. And that's inspiring other people. That's also part of why we're doing this webinar, because a huge part of moving forward is representation and realizing that if someone else is already doing it, why can't I do it as well, right? So we want to inspire from our outside audience, anyone who might be interested in the tech world, but maybe they don't have that inspiration yet. And internally, we want to also inspire women who are like, hey, I'd like to get to that position one day, but I don't know if I can. Well, you have these 5 amazing women who are killing it, doing amazing things in different fields, from different backgrounds, different divisions. So I hope that helps to inspire and empower others, right? So these are our 5 panelists. Thank you all so much for everything, for the comments that you shared with us. Now I'm gonna start asking a few questions, and I might direct it to one of you, but everyone can come in and like give your opinion as well. Does that sound good? Okay. So the first question, talking about inspiring others and having that role model to look up to. The first question that I have for Dalia is, what personal or professional attribute do you appreciate more about women? And again, Dalia, we want to hear your answer, but if anyone else in the panel as well wants to answer, we welcome that as well.
So an attribute, I guess one thing that I've always seen and admire about the women I've worked with, where it's 2 things actually. One is their attention to details, and the other one is their determination when they are after a goal or they have their mindset on something they want to achieve. And those are things that I think are very helpful in the job we do every day, because I've been in different teams. With some, I've only worked with men, in others, I've worked with women too. And I've noticed how women are so focused on details and things that sometimes we can't see or are not so visible, especially on the QA side. I work with amazing QA women who we are working on something and they notice it and we're like, whoa, I would have never thought about this. And it's amazing how they pay attention to all those things. And with determination, I've seen women really work hard and prepare themselves for their roles. When I've been working with women on my teams in projects, I've seen them speaking their minds when they really want to achieve something, when they are really committed to the work, to the project, and want to see that want to see it succeed. They are very courageous. They bring their ideas to the table. They speak to leads, to clients in a way that they are trying to do the best they can to achieve a successful result. And at the same time, that leads them to gain visibility and the expertise that we're looking for in women. So it's amazing how these attributes, it's not only in women, but this is what I've seen the most in them, in every woman I work with. And I'm like, oh, this is super great.
Yeah, it definitely brings something else to the table. And that's the great thing about diversity, right? And something that I personally love about Rulesware, working in 3 different divisions with such different people across the table, is you get that different perspective that you might have not thought of, or new ideas that help the company grow at the end of the day. So great answer there. Anyone else wants to pitch into that one? The question was, what is the professional or personal attribute that you appreciate about women? Maybe Felicia?
How come I knew you were going to pick on me? I think I would echo Dahlia's point, and even Sidra's point. So to add to that, I think we just bring, a little more holistic perspective. And I think this is, and it's not a slight against anyone. I think this is the way we are built as opposed to men. So I actually like sometimes when I'm paired with someone, man or woman, has a laser focus, and then we can kind of balance each other out. So I'm looking at the whole table and they're just like, okay, we need to concentrate on this part. And it actually keeps me from being in the weeds too much. So it's actually a good pairing when you pair people up like that who balance each other out. So I appreciate both sides. And then at the same time, being paired up with someone who respects that, and I respect their perspective. And once that balance is achieved, the products that we're able to produce and generate are just awesome. So
definitely. And I think the key word there, it's balance. That's what we're trying to achieve, just the balance of different thoughts, balance of different opinions, balance of all these amazing things that just make us better, right? And speaking about balance, the next question that I have for Isa, please don't hate me, Isa, is, in your personal opinion, what can we do as society to better promote exactly that work equality, which we can also use a synonym for balance?
So I would encourage women to actually apply to those roles they are very interested in, and they actually want to look themselves someday. There are probably going to be some times where it's going to be probably 20 men applying and probably 1 woman applying to that role, but I will encourage women to apply, to be prepared. And we are able to be in those roles that are very important, and we're able to be leading teams, leading big companies. In Rulesware, as we know, we have great women on very strategic roles, and that's very impressive. Actually, and that's something that I actually really like from the company since the beginning, that we are promoting to have that balance in those roles. Doesn't matter that it's like a VP role or executive or different roles, that we want to have that balance, to have equity with men and women in those positions. So I would encourage women to apply to be prepared. Probably if they don't get the role at that time, probably they can apply again and keep trying and be meeting their goals that they have in their lives.
Definitely. Thank you so much for that, Isa. And I think Rulesware is doing a good job at trying to achieve that work equality. Like Dalia was saying at the very beginning, what matter here are your skills, what you bring to the table, that you can get the job right, and that you are prepared for it. Other than that, your gender doesn't really dictate whether you get a promotion or not, or whether you get hired or not. And if anything, we just support having that diversity at the table. So thank you for that answer. And I see in the chat here to the side that Carlos Aponte is asking a question. So I'll take this opportunity to remind everyone, if you guys have any questions that you would like to ask our panelists, whether that being one of them or an open question to any of them, please feel free to put them here in the chat on the side. And we'll happily address those at the end during our Q&A session. But actually, Carlos Apontes is a question that I have in my trusty list of questions here. So we'll go right ahead and ask that one right now. And he says, so if you would like to, as a female leader, what has been the most significant barrier in your career? And what did you do to overcome that barrier? I don't know if we have a volunteer to answer that one, or should I choose? Don't jump all at once. Sidra, would you like to? Oh, Felicia. I'm not gonna steal your thunder. Maybe we get both of you.
So I'll be quite honest here, and I'm gonna speak frankly. I think one of the most significant barriers for me that I've had to overcome, and I'm still working on, is my own fears. And I say that because as a Black woman, I was taught, oh, people are going to discriminate against you and not like you because of this and this and this and this. And although I have run into those issues, my biggest issue has been worrying about the perception, or being concerned about the perception of Black women and how that affects me and how people treat me. So I really go into situations just as a person, and if I detect that, then I handle it, or deal with it. But I no longer allow it to stop my work. So at the end of the day, I do have a job to do. And although I may be dealing with some interpersonal or discriminatory behavior, I don't let it stop me from completing my job, from doing my work, or voicing my opinion or a concern. I'm actually confronting those behaviors right now. And I would say that Rulesware is helping me grow in that area to say, okay, just because I feel this way for this vibe from this person doesn't mean I stop doing my job. So I keep on doing my job and we'll deal with that later. Or I'm going to then break whatever stigma you have in your head about Black women and about women, period. So, and I think I will go out on a limb and say, I think so far my experience at Rulesware is we all, men and women at Rulesware, break stigmas every day. So I just love working with everyone, that we are not falling for typical behavior and corporate behavior, and we're all helping each other grow. And it's a wonderful thing. So.
I really have nothing to add to that. That was the perfect answer. But yeah, I totally agree with you. I think sometimes our biggest blocker, it's ourselves and our confidence. Talk about imposter syndrome. When everyone around us is saying yeah, you can do it, you go right ahead, we believe in you, and you're like, well, what if? And I think growing up in a society that has certain stigmas still very much weaved into how we grow up and what we want to be as we grow up, is some of those are very unconscious, and part of the work that we have to do to one day achieve that equality that we all try to strive for is starting with ourselves and breaking those stigmas, sitting down, thinking about it, exposing ourselves to educational resources, and being open to I didn't think I thought that way, but maybe I did, and I should change it. So definitely a good point to make there. Now, Sidra, I kind of threw the question at you, and then I took it back to Felicia. So I'm gonna give you the chance to answer this question. And just to remind you, it is what has been the biggest blocker, or like the biggest blocker that you've encountered as a female, as a woman in a leadership position, and how did you overcome that?
So I think I'm going to talk about it a little more in a generic sense, like just in general, what are the typical barriers that women, or what I have noticed, what the typical barriers that women face. So I think one of the things is that the way we treat women and men is obviously different, right? Like what I love is that women in general, as a population, we have a lot of empathy, and I love that about women because I think it makes for great work environment, great team building, great interpersonal relationships, and I think that eventually leads to more successful projects. But a lot of times that's taken as a weakness, like you'll hear people say, "Oh, she's too soft," I think that is a preconceived notion that has to change, I think, over time. And it similarly works the other way. If you see a woman who's very on top of her things, who's very proactive, they'll say, "Oh, she's aggressive and combative," So those are some of the things that I've noticed, either directly or indirectly in my career. The second, I think, biggest thing is the way, especially in the US, the way the workforce is set up is it's not that easy for women who have kids to kind of go through labor and pregnancy and then kind of reintegrate back into the workforce. There's a federally mandated leave, I think, which is about 12 weeks. Most of it is not paid. So versus in other countries, like some countries have larger maternity leaves and stuff. But naturally, women are more nurturing, and they end up being the primary caregiver for their little ones. And I think workplaces have to kind of figure out how to accommodate that for women. And I think that's something that needs a lot of, there's scope for a lot of work in that space, generally in the industry.
Definitely, it's definitely a work in progress still. And it's funny you mentioned that. I was doing my research for this event, and I was watching this, it's on Netflix, it's a show thing, educational one.
Okay.
And it's all about like, how do you do it or something like that. And it was explaining the gender pay gap and how sometimes that has to do with women are perceived as the primary caregiver, and how in some countries they're doing, okay, we're not going to give maternity leave only to women, we're also going to give it to men, and we're going to encourage them to take it. So that way we're kind of like changing the mindset of people, in which if you all both had a baby, like, okay, you can also go home and spend time with your baby as a man, and you women are not expected to be the only one doing that. So I think that we go back to that, like there's a lot of like back of the head still kind of weaved in our culture, things that we have to work through, right? So the next question, thank you for that, Sidra. The next question that I have is, what has been the most career defining moment of you that makes you feel more proud of? And let's go with Edith for this one. What's been the most career defining moment that you're the most proud of?
Well, that's a hard question.
That just means that there's so many moments that you're proud of. It's hard to pick just one.
I think that there's a lot of moments across my whole life that I'm really proud of. Not all of them are work related, but I think all of them are related to where I am right now, or what I want right now, and that I'm working in what I'm working right now. So it's hard to choose one. If I'm choosing a work related one, then I will have to say The moment I choose and I decide to change my background career to my current career, since I studied for being a biomedical engineer, right? And my whole career, I was expecting to work in something related with biomedical engineer, and everything was through that specific path, right? And after graduation, it was a hard moment because I realized that, at least in Mexico, I couldn't actually do what I was planning to do or what I actually wanted to do as a biomedical engineer. So it was a couple of hard years realizing that the positions that were available for biomedical engineers in Mexico, just I didn't like them at all. I tried a few positions like salesman, from maintaining equipment on the hospitals and clinic, engineering and all that. And I tried everything and I didn't like it at all. I was like, oh my God, I studied for this and I even cannot find a position that actually suits me. I want to build something. I wanted to do amazing things, right? I studied biomedical engineering for that reason. So there comes a point in those after graduation years where I was like, okay, I don't know what to do with my life. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what do I want to do. Where do I want to work right now? But there was like a spot in my curriculum, let's say, that pointed towards software development. I have explored some of that in my career. I have explored some of that after my career, just like making freelancer projects and all that. So it was like a little light in those dark days. And it was one of my biomedical engineers colleagues, actually, the one Hector, it's actually working on Rulesware right now, that decided to take that step without telling anybody. And he just came one day and put it on the chat like, hey, I'm working on software development. They are opening new positions for new people, for junior engineers. If anyone wants to try, go ahead. So I think I was in that moment where, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. Let's try it out, right? And it was a big step because I didn't actually knew if I was capable of doing it, because I knew kind of programming languages and stuff like that, but nothing like big software development, right? So it was like, okay, let's do it. Maybe I'm not good enough right now, but I know if I study and if I work hard and I don't know, I keep learning everything, maybe I can make it. And so I decided to go to that interview. I sent my CV and everything, and here I am almost 2.5 years later, and software development for me has been like, oh my God, this was meant to be my work right now, right? And I think that choice, that moment of uncertainty, like everything is black, you don't know what to do. And that moment that you decide to do something that maybe you're afraid of doing, or that step you're afraid because you don't think you have the right tools, or you're not good enough, or you're not well prepared for it, but you like it and it interests you. That specific moment when I made that choice to, okay, just let's do it. I'll study all night and let's just go to the interview. I think that was a really big moment, and I think that's a career-changing decision in my life.
Definitely, and we're better because we have you in our team. So we're kind of glad that you had to go through that path and that process to eventually end up finding your passion, and we're happy to have you on the team. Pretty much, that's the summary. Well, thank you so much for that answer, Edith. Now we are right at time to start our Q&A, and we have some questions from our attendees. So let's see how many of these we can go through. And if not, we will ask these questions to our panelists offline, and we'll be posting a blog with the answers. So if you have any other questions, please feel free to leave them in the chat here. The first question that I have in line, it's not addressed necessarily to one of y'all, but if anyone wants to answer it, it says, which was one of their fears that you felt was stopping you, and how did you fight it? I think this goes aligned with what we were talking about earlier. Sometimes our biggest blocker is ourselves. So which was one of the fears that was stopping you, and how did you fight it? Anybody wants to take that one for the team?
We can do that.
Okay.
So I guess my biggest fear was failing. Yeah, I had a huge aversion to fail. The thought about doing something wrong was, killing me every time. So getting past the frustration of not knowing everything right away and being patient with my own learning and growth, that was a challenge. I'm a very perfectionist person. And because of the fact I thought, if I mess up or I do something wrong or I say the wrong thing, because I'm a woman, I'm gonna be looked less, and I'm gonna be looked like, oh, it's expected or something like that. So it was challenging, and it was a very good exercise to get over that. It was also very helpful to acknowledge the culture of the company, where you're not judged because of your gender or anything like that. You are looked as an equal by everyone. And the other part, that was just the first part, because like you said, this was all in my mind. It was a very personal and intrinsic fear and doubt I had about myself. So I came to understand that it's part of growing, right? I think with time, with age, and also with some deep self-analysis and awareness of myself and the support of people around me, I came to understand that you have to accept that you won't know everything right away. And I've learned to be more patient and kind to myself in my learning process, and started seeing my mistakes when I make them as a learning and growing experience instead of a breaking one. So don't be afraid to get something wrong. You will definitely do it, but it's part of growing, part of building yourself and becoming an expert.
You're in mute, Ange.
Yeah, thank you for that. It's story of my life, being on mute. So one of the best pieces of advice that someone gave me once is, you're gonna fail. Like, that's a given. So why be so afraid of it? Just do it, learn from it, and try again. Anyone from our panel that wants to pitch in and share about fears that they had to go through or fight, and how did that happen?
I actually share the same opinion that Dalia had. I during this time, or during my life, I thought, okay, this is my role. This is why I need to do, or my responsibilities in the company. Being in a different area with no experience for me was very hard at the beginning to open the office, keep all the things moving, and keep hiring good people and supporting, basically. So I was afraid just not to be able to deliver things the way I think they were. Actually, that's where you need to ask for support for people that you feel that they can actually help you. Also, losing the fear of talking and asking and say, hey, I don't know, I need your opinion, I need help. This is something that I probably should know at this point, but I would, can you please give me an advice or provide your opinion? And if I fail, it's actually, okay, realize that it's wrong. That's probably not the way that you should be doing, but be aware of that, accept the errors, and be able to recognize those. Especially, there are going to be times in your life that you're probably going to work with people that it's going to be very hard, but just being open, like, to talk and to provide feedback and receive feedback, that's also that has helped me in the past years.
Definitely. Thank you for that, Isa. And I think we, or most of us, can just relate to that experience of wanting to look self-sufficient, so you don't want to ask people. But at the end of the day, that's the only way we grow. And this, now, it's not a topic about women or men in the company. It's the only way we grow is if we help each other, and a piece of advice that someone else can give us can take us a long way, right? And I think that Rulesware is that place where I, being one of like a very young professional and rather new, like I go to social all the time, like, hey, how do you like job bite? I don't understand it. Or I go to a ponte, like, yeah, the other day I went to school, like, I just really have no idea how to do this. Like, can you help me? And everyone's very willing and happy to do that. So not only knowing that others will be happy to help, but also being ourselves that person for someone else is very important, I think. Thank you for that, Isa. Now, the next question that we have in our list is, and this one comes from Anthony, our CEO for our external audience, and it is, what can the company do better to create an environment where women can excel? Anybody in our panel wants to answer that one, has an idea? The CEO is listening, might happen. Oh, should I pick someone?
I have an idea on my mind.
Okay, yeah.
It's not the whole answer, but feel free to pitch in anybody else. I believe that how we can achieve that or improve that, if that's the word I can use, it's to focus on the skills and the knowledge of the people and not the gender of the people they are, right? Just like if you're going to promote something, if you're going to give something, just, I don't know, focus on the skills, soft and hard skills and technical skills, and in the work the people is doing, the actions the people is doing, do not focus on, oh, she's a woman, so she's doing great because she's doing this little thing, right? Or, oh, he's a man and he's doing this thing, so he's kind of doing it well, right? Mm-hmm. Just focus on the skills, focus on the achievements, focus on the retrospectives, the feedback you're getting from other people about that person, not focus on the gender of that person. I think we could be we could have a better work environment in every company if we just focus on that and not in the gender of the person.
Definitely, that's a good practice that I think we're following, but it's always good to make more emphasis on it so we don't forget. Anybody else wants to pitch in and like share something that they think we can be doing at Rulesware necessarily to improve that and to create that environment where women can excel?
Hey, I can speak on that too.
Yeah.
I think we're doing great, like you said, right? So let's just keep respecting and supporting our women, recognizing them and respecting them as the skilled colleagues and key members they are, right? And also, I think we should support their education, their preparation. That is something that really is going to empower them to get the skills they need to assume and to get these roles that they are aiming for. So we already have programs that do that. So let's keep supporting them, the preparation, training, education that they need, and of course, the respect and the support and recognition as the valuable colleagues that they are to everyone.
Definitely. Thank you so much for that, Dalia. Both of y'all's answers are very, very good, and we'll definitely take them into account. I think we have time for one more question, if not two. So I'm going to go ahead and jump to the next question. Someone asked, do you recall a funny, challenging experience working with different people with variety of cultures and ways of thinking? How do you handle that situation? And I think that happens on a day-to-day with Rulesware. We're working with so many people from different backgrounds and cultures. Anybody wants to take that one? Sidra, we haven't heard from you in a second.
I'm not at Rulesware, but I have a funny story like outside of Rulesware. It's actually somebody from the utility company came the other day to check the gas valve outside our house. So I opened the door and he's like, can you call your husband so I can explain to him what's going wrong with the gas? Well, he didn't even try to explain it to me. And so, I mean, I just turned around and called my husband, but in my mind, I was like, I'm the engineer in the house. But that was just funny. He was a sweet old man.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes things like those happen, and it's good that you can take, not always, but sometimes you can take those with humor, right? Anybody else has an experience like that? And if not, there's one question. Sorry, there's one question that it's very like popular demand, and it's a question for Emma. Alexa, if you can help me to promote her to panelist so she can give us her answer. And it says, Emma has been such an incredible mentor for me. This question came from Alexa, for the last 5 years. She has always taught me that sometimes it's not about what you say, but how you say it. Strength in words. To not ask for approval before asking a question or stating a point. Emma, what advice would you give women in regards of their communication and approach that may unintentionally reduce the power of their communication? Do we have Emma in line? Yes, there you are.
Sorry to put you on the spot, Emma.
It's so lucky I'm not in my pajamas. I could have been. There's one thing that I think I have shared with some of the people in this call before, which was a huge thing for me in terms of not what you say, but how you say it, which I think is what you're asking, Alexa. And some really specific things like removing the word just. I still have to go through my emails and pull out the word just and actually like that I justify things as I'm saying them and trying to just not do there. See, I just said just trying to not do it anymore. And from this exercise, I really have learned to communicate more clearly, more confidently. And I think that a lot of women do get stuck here. It's not what we know, but it's how we say what we know and being better at saying it confidently when we're confident and also asking questions when we're not. Because Dahlia, you're totally right. You get stuff wrong all the time. As soon as I realized I could say things like, I have no idea, I felt much freer. But when I do know, I need to be confident and firm with how I say it.
Yeah, own that. Own your experience, own
Own
your
it,
talent.
Yeah, and also be totally fine if you don't know it.
Definitely, it's a once again balance. It's a good mix between the both. Thank you for the
word
guest appearance, Emma. We're
you,
so
Emma.
happy to have heard from you.
Thanks. You're all doing an amazing job, Angie. You're doing an amazing job. You really are. I already was texting Anthony like 40 minutes ago. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's amazing.
Thank you. By the way, nice to meet you. I think this is the first time we Well, thank you for that, Emma. And we're right at time. I want to take this time to thank our lovely panelists for braving through this and allowing me to just pick their brain and ask them questions in front of all these people. Thank you for our external audience who have joined us today, and also for our employees for taking the time to just learn more about this topic and see what we can do to improve as a company, right? And to improve in our communities. So with that, we're gonna end this webinar. We'll be reaching out to you all with more information on like the rest of the questions that we didn't get to go through, and a blog post that you will be seeing soon. So thank you all for your time and have a good Friday. Happy Friday and happy weekend. Bye.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.